Elf and elf, dungeons and dungeons, raids and raids, tyrants and, well, you get the point. These games looks really close to each other. From one side we have legendary. Whatever situation we have now with World of Warcraft, you can't deny that the game is legendary. And from other side we have Chinese clone. Well, it's not a clone, but the game heavily inspired by the Big Brother. Today we're talking about the Tarisland, PC and mobile full-fledged MMORPG from Chinese developers Locojoy team. Fans turn to developers company, as they call themselves. And let's clear out two things right away. This video will be directly about Tarisland and why this game could be interesting and fun time to play. We still will compare it to other MMORPGs or MMORPG, that one, right? But it is not the reason of the video. And second point, yes, we have a global release date. The game will be launched globally on June 21st. And it has more than 3 million pre-registration already. Pretty good. And it's clearly a bullshit video title. 300 hours on beta tests? Come on, guys. But for some reason YouTube algorithms, really love such topics. So here I am. Don't worry, I played this game a lot. Participate all the beta tests, and here's everything you need to know about Tarisland. My name is PLK, this channel growing really fast on the content about different MMOs. Thank you guys for your heavy support. Don't forget to subscribe, it helps a lot. And let's start. Now, is it the WoW killer? And why everybody else on YouTube call this game the WoW killer? And let's be honest, mobile, Eastern MMORPG, which is not focused on PvP and trying to copy many mechanics, is not something that will suppress the original. So let's stop on this point. But, could this mobile and PC MMO project become decent or even good game for many of us as its own original game? So let's focus on something that could be interesting in this game and maybe even good compared to other MMORPGs. Important information that you need to know. In the end of the last year, Blizzard left China. WoW was closed on the territory. Now it's opening again and blah blah blah. You definitely can find a lot of info about that in the internet. I will not go into details, but this situation definitely gives Tarisland a chance as a Chinese alternative to WoW. Big boost in audience and motivation. It was announced right away out of the blue. And you know what? I tried first beta and it was okay. Surprisingly okay actually. People even have conspiracy theory that it was Blizzard who made the game with a NetEase, as they are focusing on mobile market for a long time now, and Diablo Immortal also was made with a NetEase, by the way. But for some reasons game went to Tencent, and now it's separate from Blizzard product. I don't know, and actually I don't care, but that is fun situation if it's true. Alright, let's tackle cool stuff now. All good MMORPGs should have races, right? We have those MMOs where you have only humans. I mean, please, stop make those games. Tarisland is a good game in this regard. This world has a lot of unique, races. Well, classes, which are connected to the races and genders. Developers promised to remove gender lock on release, but let's see. So we have 9 classes, and each of them, by the way, have 2 specifications, which is pretty cool. Typical warrior with a dual sword DPS spec and classic tank spec. Fluffy barbarian big cat have DPS spec, enchanting his attacks with lightning and using fire in a tank spec. Elf mage using ice and fire spec, typical sorcerer from the MMOs. Elf paladin in DD spec using two-headed big boo-boo alpha weapon and using light magic. In tank spec using small beta mace weapon and a shield, also using some magic for the shields and barriers. Human babe priest in DD spec dominating by lightning magic, in heal spec healing by lightning magic. Surprisingly unique. Dark Elf Rogue or Demon Hunter from WoW. Not much info about this class, but let's say it's just Demon Hunter. I mean, at least it looks like that. Elf Hunter. One spec more focused on PvP activities with arrows, and other one more relied on the Fury Friends. And the Bard. In damage dealing spec, buffing damage by some music wombo jumbo, and healing spec with the same music thing, creating shields and barriers and heal as well. So what we have here? Compared to WoW, it's mostly clones of the typical classes with some minor tweaks and even limitations. We have 3 tanks, many damage dealers, 2 heals, 1 pet user, and only Bard kinda have some unique style of the gameplay. Other than that, honestly, by the view from the side, visually classes looks tasty and okayish. And truth to be told, yep, it looks good. But the most important topic will be how they feel in the combat itself. Clone, no clone, well, it doesn't matter actually if the implementation is bad, or vice versa good. So, combat system. No auto combat and no auto run in the game. Good. Okay, so we don't have this bullshit from the mobile games. We are not in the shitty mobile grind game. For now, game has classical target combat system, and I'll stop you right away. It doesn't matter is it action non-target combat system or not in MMORPG. What does matter if it's implemented well or not. And also my personal belief that the target combat gives you more flexibility for talents, builds, strategy in combat and all of these things. Okay, Tarisland. Target combat made well. Exceptionally well. Nothing to complain actually, everything feels good and interactive. But the mobs annihilation itself, it is a bit boring. No procs from the skills, no mechanics and combos, no rotations and so on. Looks pretty simple. You have 6 main skills, 2 optional ones, 3 slots for the potions and a mount button. Most of the classes' skill rotations will be similar. You have abilities which generate your class resource, and you have others which use the resource. Well, some classes specs are a little bit more interesting, like Fire Mage or Bard, but overall, all this looks very oversimplified at this point. For instance, AoE rotations are not exist at all. You basically have one button which you will click on every occasion till you will die. With character progression, combat will become a little bit more interesting. Faster resource generation, faster skills use, and all of this a little bit more active. And I don't want to say that, but it looks like some of the systems were designed for the mobile platforms specific. So playing some of the classes was really exhausting for my fingers. Just to click always one skill and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it, super simple for mobiles. But for the PC, well, not enough. But once again, I can't say that the combat system is bad. No, as I said, it feels good and tasty, and you need to move a lot even with the lack of buttons to click. It just said that developers didn't go further to make combat rotations and skills usage more complex. 2 optional skills give you some flexibility to choose what you're preparing for. Going to specific boss and you need more stuns, feel free to change optional skill. Need more heal or buffs? Same. You will have around 6 optional skills and can use only 2, so choose wisely. And just to be clear, number of the skills itself is not a problem here. You have 6 active skills, 2 optional, you can choose between them, and you have a lot of skills to do damage or heal, for example. Much bigger number than in something like Throne and Liberty, for instance. It's just you don't have logic behind them. No rotations, no support skills. You most likely will not have stun, dash and interrupt in the same skill build, you need to choose. Also, I don't know why, but you can't change skills order on your panel. They're set in stone. It's strange. Thanks for the developers that at least you can change buttons for the skills. Now, if we're talking about the roles, as I said, damage dealers could have more flexibility in rotations. Be prepared to smash one button a lot. Tanking, as you can assume, is not something super hard. Pretty typical to the target combat MMO. You have aggro skill, you have one AoE skill, you have few damage skills, and let's go. I felt lack of some interface help for tanking. Like for instance, if you didn't aggro few mobs from the group, it will be pain in the ass to understand which one. You need to click on it and re-aggro it from the party member. Something like a list of mobs with aggro meter, like in Final Fantasy XIV, will be really good here. Yeah, and about aggro itself, you can't see aggro. You don't have any indicator of aggro at all. Typical situation with the boss. Boss spawn adds, which you need to re-aggro fast and come back to the boss to interrupt his skill. You are basically do re-aggro with the blind eyes. And if the boss sometimes do random skill to a party member, you don't know if it's you losing the aggro or this is just the new rotation of the boss. In short, tanking is pretty straightforward with the aggro downsides. Healing is kind of the same. You have healing skills, you click on the party member and you use your skill. That is all. I love to main heals in MMORPGs. Here, I don't know actually. So, overall combat system is okay. Have some irritating things and huge room for improvement. And it's good actually. Potential is here. If the developers will try to improve it, add some uniqueness to the class rotations, and features like aggro meter and so on, could be interesting. At this point of time, good but limited for mobile WoW combat system. And about Tarisland builds, you have such three of the abilities. Do you have any options there? Well, a little bit. You have few important talents which will change some of the skills. So you will have something like 2 ways how you can build your character. Not super flexible, but at least something. And enough about the combat and the builds and all of this stuff. What about visual fidelity of the game? Now, game looks fresh, interesting and not boring. It looks like Fortnite collaboration with the WoW. More cartoonish clay style. Nothing special. You can't compare it to something like BDO or Throne and Liberty. But for MMO, that is really fine, honestly. Some animations are wooden, characters lack of social things like dances and emotes, but it is not something hard to add in the future. Weather effects are very cool, like change from the sun to the raining. Landscapes and lights are pretty good, water looks fine. Overall, games feel really good. Vibe check and atmosphere is okay. No issues at all with the performance, and on PC you will have more than 100 FPS on the average machine. Maybe some short downsides when a lot of new characters are loading in a big city or the rain starts. The game itself was developed for the mobiles only, and then at some moment was adapted to the PC. Adapted in a good way, otherwise I wouldn't be talking about this shit right now. But still, it is a cross-platform MMO with all the consequences. First, we need to pay some tribute to the developers. PC client is pretty good actually. We have a lot of new Asian MMOs where mobile platforms are the mains and PC is basically the emulator for mobile. Here I have original, real PC client, with some bugs and problems of course, but for instance you have in-game voice chat, which is working pretty well, so thanks for that good PC client. Interface. Interface itself is okay, flexible and even customizable. You can move elements, change scale and etc. Also, developers limit usage of the third-party software and add-ons, but they made their own DBM, which is a telegraphing boss mechanics and so on. Damage matters, heal matters, buffs and debuffs. Everything is right away in the game from the box. And yes, if you're a hardcore MMO player and you want to do some whistles and hyper-customizable add-ons, you can't here. But for normal and casual players, you will have right away everything ready to go. Well, I personally think that it is really good. I don't understand why you have to add many different add-ons to WoW, so my game will be more complex, but I could at least play in it. Big plus to the Tarisland here. Now let's talk about the content. In short, content in the game is good. It's enough activities and progression to feel motivated to launch the game for some time every day. Big plus again. Main quest story is okay. Let me explain. Mechanics and quests themselves are really good and interesting. Puzzles, new things, different mechanics, so it's fun. Downside is many of the characters and lore at all is non-World of Warcraft characters. What the fuck does it mean, you will ask? Look, these are not Taurens. This is not Kel'Thuzad. These are not characters from WoW. But they are. I mean, look at the screen. They are. And this is just irritating. If they will make more shitty but original characters and lore, my opinion, it will be much better. Main story is okay. Nothing important for MMORPGs, right? If you want to play cool story games, go to single players, you noob. The main thing about the story is that this non-Tauren looks like Hitler. I mean, come on. Who did this character design? Who is that? Adolf Hitler or what? Anyway, story is average. But you will have to do it anyway, because main progression will be through main storyline, with grind walls and some levels, where you will need to grind dungeons for the next levels. Yeah, so, you know, as always in MMORPG. Max level was 40 and it was pretty fast, so easy peasy. Game have an open world, which is smaller than WoW, but it has some good points of interest. Look more like Genshin, but more dense. By the style, locations are also close to something like Genshin Impact. Canyons, big plateaus, mountains and all this cool stuff. World could be more live and level design more focus on the player interaction with the world itself. Sometimes it takes a lot of time to go from the point A to point B, and some locations are just pretty empty, but maybe I'm just picky. Yellow quests or side quests on every location are very typical. Kill 10 reds, gather 10 resources, boring. But also you have local quests, reputational events. And they are interesting because they are puzzles, like jumping puzzles and so on. So very cool. Also you have secret chests hidden in different locations. All of that gives you reputation and possibility to fly on the mounts. Yeah, surprise, surprise, you have flying mounts in the WoW clone. Reputation, you need to grab good gear. So players have high motivation to clean up all the local and reputational quests in all locations. That's good. Dungeons. Dungeons, boys. Okay. I will say that dungeons are one of the main good features of the game. Dungeons are variety, interesting and starts pretty early here. The most important thing, dungeons are fun. Bosses have few phases and use positioning during the fight. Even in the first dungeon, you do all of that. Then you kill the boss and you see second stage of the dungeon. And it is super good. Look at that. Then second boss, then third boss. And it's not like something unique, it's just dungeons made pretty good here. I'm so happy. Dungeons have few difficulty levels. from beer runs to some heroic World of Warcraft analogs for the hardcore bros. Mechanics are simple, but as I told you, they are interesting. For instance, in this one, you need to destroy as fast as possible these armor crates around the boss. Otherwise, he will crush the tank armor with the skill and pretty much the party will die. Something like the DPS check for the party. And a lot of different other interactive mechanics with all other bosses. All the bosses are unique. So you can say the developers really focused on the dungeons in the Tarisland. And also, Tarisland have Arcane Realms, which is like Mythic plus dungeons from the World of Warcraft. More hardcore, more fun mechanics, and have some prerequisites. So good life for all dungeon grind lovers. And all of them, by the way, focus on the fun time, compared to the Mystic plus hardcore as grinding in WoW. I mean, nothing bad with that, but good fat plus to the Tarisland here as well. And raids. Yes, we have raids in Tarisland. Surprised? Raids here are like a big Arcane Realms. Focus on the fun. Don't have trash at all, so you just jump straight into the boss fight. Honestly, I think it's better than cleaning trash for an hour and wipe on the first boss mechanic. So they're shorter and more compact, but still fun. Mechanics are not something from the other dimension, more like simplicity from classic World of Warcraft once again, or first raids in a Final Fantasy XIV. I will say raids are casual to some extent, still have some room for growth and some vibes on the road. Raids here are also with different difficulties, but we couldn't try them on betas. So let's see. Raids are okay, average. Tower. Also other additional PvE content with the many levels and good rewards, where you solo fight with the bosses with different attributes and blah blah blah. Good addition to the daily content and alternative to the gear and reputational grind. The only big minus is all tower content is for the damage dealers. Exactly the same like in the Throne and Liberty weekly bosses. It just doesn't care if you're a healer or a tank. Kill the fucking boss as fast as possible. Hope they will fix it, because you will suck a lot on the support and tank roles. You will need this tower to progress. And let's talk about progression, by the way. So to progress in the game, you need to do few main things. Basic is gearing. Drop the gear in the dungeons on the open world or during the quests. All gear is with random stats. So to get the tank gear, you will drop a lot of random same gear before you can get stats that you want to main. Controversial? But okay. Then you need to insert stones to your gear. And before that, you need to grind them. And yeah, tower is a good choice for damage dealers to grind the stones, but for the tanks and the healers, it's pain in the ass. Because stones also random, and you need to level stones with specific stats for your specific build. So have fun with that. And then you need to add special enchantments to your gear, so you need to grind or craft it as well. So it's double fun for you. Now about trading and crafting. You will have to level up crafting to accelerate your gearing process, as you understand already from the gear progression. So what can you do with the craft? Craft is simple and limited. You craft one item from 3 different ingredients and recipe, for example. So quality of the item will depend on the quality of the ingredients and the recipe, which is a rare thing in the game. Nothing new and nothing better good, just typical simple craft. The downside is that you have local energy. Vigor. You are charging by doing nothing for a week and then spend it one good evening of crafting, then wait. I hate such approach. So craft pipeline is the following. You gather resources, you buy some of them from the auction, then craft and use your vigor, then wait. Game is basically limiting you on a progression, which is good for casual I think, but bad for overall. And yes, you can't trade directly with the players. Only guild bank and only auction, like for instance in BDO. By the way, mobile origins of the game. Gear doesn't change character look. You have only full skins and set that you can buy or grind, but it doesn't change your look. So, meh, hate it. As an outro, I will say the following. Is it a WoW killer? Definitely not. Is it bad? I also don't think so. I will say Tarisland could have a good, above average place in a MMO world. If the Tencents will improve, update and listen to the community, Tarisland could have a good potential grow as a regional product. And I'm talking about PC MMORPGs. In mobile world, Tarisland will be the best from the start right away, 100%. But what is good in the game for us, PC users? I will say really short. More fun with less play hours than in typical MMORPGs. And I'm talking mostly about PvE, because PvP is still not in the game. Game much faster introduce all cool things and content than a typical MMORPG. And I think it's really good. So will I try the game on the release? 100%. Me and my guild sexy boys, Guild Nix will definitely try Tarisland on the release. And also the good thing, developers even gave some promises about PvP mods and stuff. They will be in the game. So it could be pretty interesting. We don't know when, but still. What about you? Will you try the game, and what do you think is good and bad about the Tarisland? It was PLK. I was really glad to see you guys again. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. See ya. Bye.